So this whole month, we've been talking about getting real, right? We've been really getting into, been some powerful talks, I thought. Especially last week's was really powerful. If you haven't seen it, we're up on YouTube under my name, under Joyful Gatherings name. All of the talks that have ever been spoken here are on YouTube. So you might, a lot of people have been watching it, people that aren't able to get here. So this is a wonderful gift that we give this planet. So getting real. First we started about getting real about life's lessons, and then we talked about getting real in relationships, and then last week we talked about getting real with life, capital L, and life, our small experiences of the divine. So today we're going to bring this theme to a close by getting real about what does personal transformation really mean. You know, we talk about it a lot, but we're going to get real about it today, okay? So we can use it. And there's a beautiful passage in Corinthians, and I want to read to you. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. The old has passed away. Hear that? Behold, the new has come. So that's a very spiritual concept, and it's one that we're going to roll with today. And what it really means is actually really what it means is things will change. This is one of my favorite topics, by the way. We're going to be talking about change. Change. It's going to happen. Whether we like it or not, change is taking place. We're going to get into that today. And I may say even when things are not so fine, at least, you know, this is what people say to themselves. Things aren't that great, but at least I know what to expect. And I can stay here and leave well enough alone. I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever said, leave well enough alone. Have anyone here raise your hand if you said?
Leave well enough alone?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what it means.
Yeah.
I don't know, we didn't use that in my home.
Well,
They don't want to change. They don't want to do it.
I know what it means, but I mean, giving the talk. Okay, well, I'm afraid, my friends, that life just doesn't work that way. It really doesn't, because whether we initiate change or not, whether we want change or not, whether we like change or not, life is ever creating and ever moving forward. It's always changing, always presenting us with opportunities for personal transformation and growth, which requires change. If you recall, I warned you at the very beginning that we were going to dig deep into getting real about all of these different topics. So this is I cannot believe it, but it's the last Sunday of February, and this is we're going to get real about change, what it really means to us, and how we can use it for our personal growth and for transformation. So a theme about which we will get real this morning can be summed up in a phrase that you've probably heard before. In fact, I'm sure that you've said it before, but you might not know what it actually means. Change is inevitable, growth is optional, right? Change is inevitable, growth is optional. So I want us to look at these two aspects this morning, the inevitability of change and the growth that comes from it if we allow it. First, change is inevitable. There is another similar way of saying that about change, which I'm sure you've also heard. The only thing certain in life is change. Change is going to occur in our lives, change that we initiate, and then the change that just comes about, right? Change we label good and change that we label bad. It's always happening. Do you all agree with that?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I think so. There's no stagnation in divinity. There's no stagnation in our life. Sometimes we might even pray for stagnation because it feels a whole lot better than some of those changes that whack us a time or two in life. But we're not going to get into that. Change is going to occur in our lives whether we like it or not. And some of us embrace this good change or changes that we consciously initiate. Because that's the kind we like. We like when we set our visions and our desires, and then we change the circumstances by our conscious use of the law. We love that. While others of us fear any change, whether it was self-initiated or whether we view it as good or bad. Sometimes it doesn't feel good when change occurs. And I'd venture to say that we've all had, I know I've had, some fear and trepidation over change that we don't initiate, or change brought on by a crisis. You know, when everything goes upside down, it feels that way. The whole world gets shaken to the core. Doesn't feel that good, but there's always an opportunity for growth in that. And what I want to do this morning to get real about this personal transformation business is laying a foundation. This is such a good part to this talk. I hope you get it. For moving through change, any kind of change, whatever type of magnitude, whether it be losing a job or starting a new one, whether it be getting divorced or getting married, whether it be being forced to move because of a change in a life situation or moving into your dream home. Someone you love has made their transition, while others, a new life has been born into their family. Whatever the change that you face, I want you to know that there is a foundation upon which you can stand while the change is taking place. Okay? So I want to modify that by the saying I gave you just a minute ago, the only thing certain in life is change. Let's say instead that there are two things that are certain in life, and they're not death and taxes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about change and God. These are immutable. They are always going to take place. God is always going to be there. We're going to talk about that. Because God is changeless. While we're going through the change of life, we have within us that which is changeless. That power for good. That's what we have. And when we wake up to this knowledge, which I really want to get into, for me it was like, boom, I love it. I love it because I know that there's a power for good that is always in operation in and through and as me, no matter what is taking place in life. And it can be very upsetting, stuff that takes place, but at the same time I can know that the source of all good is within me, guiding me. Ernest Holmes affirms this concept for us many times in his writings. Let me share with you a particularly powerful one, and this is from A New Design for Living by Ernest Holmes. He writes this: "We are all living in a world of continual change, a world in which thought, things, and experiences are all in a constant state of flux. It is the very nature of the universe that there should be continual change and variation. In a living world, the creation of a living creative intelligence, not a static world. But behind that which changes, behind that which causes the change, we have found there is something stable and changeless." Listen to this. We have found something that is stable and changeless, something eternal upon which all of the external events depend for their very existence. Behind the endless process of change and the infinite variety of experience and expression, there is that which does not change. That last line is so powerful, I want to repeat that again. Behind the endless process of change and the infinite infinite variety of experience and expression, there is that which does not change. God is the changeless in the ever-changing. God is the changeless in the ever-changing. Get this concept. So yes, change is inevitable, but behind it there is a solid foundation which can lead us to the second part of this theme this morning. Change is inevitable, but growth is optional. That's something we decide or not. So listen to what Jesus said about a solid foundation. The master teacher Jesus said, "Whoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does nothing is like a man who built a house on the earth without a foundation. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently against that house, and immediately it fell, and the ruins of that house were great. But he who hears my words and follows them is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid that foundation on the rock, against which the stream beat vehemently, but could not shake it, for it was founded on the rock." So what does he mean by hear my words and follow them? Hear my words and follow them. He told us over and over again to live a spiritual life, to trust in God as our soul's support. He was the first New Thought teacher that was really, there's probably more, but he really taught what we're living. He really taught it. To seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all the rest shall be added. He may go within and see that self-God within us, within all of us, connect with it. All else will be added. All else will come through that law of attraction to us. When we turn in and know that this presence for good is our foundation for life, not the changes that are always taking place and pass on, but that changeless self is our rock, our foundation. In other words, to keep our spiritual vision clear. That is how we build a foundation on rock, which we will weather any storm, any change whatsoever in our lives, which will allow us to go through the change, to go our relationship with our divine self is so important, to have a solid connection with it. It is the foundation, and it's so much better than not having it. I've tried that. So much better to have this connection with knowing that there is a purpose for every single thing that takes place in my life. I might not understand it, but I trust, I have faith that that foundation that I built my life on is on rock. It's not going to change. God is not going to change. Every change has within it the possibility of good if we embrace it. And change will never carry us, this is a good one, it doesn't carry us backward. No. If we can keep our spiritual vision clear, we will always be moving forward. I always say, one step in front of the other. Sometimes when I get really zapped with a great big change in life, the only thing I can do is say to myself, one foot in front of the other. It is all I can do today. It's all I can do, but I'm moving in the right direction, you see. I'm not letting the change knock me down so I can't get up again. I'm moving in the right direction, always spiraling upward, learning from every situation. So, notice, I'm going to read them again, because in every one of those just statements I just read, there is ifs. So I'm going to go over them again in case you missed them, which you probably did. Every change that comes into your life can carry you forward if you let it. If. Big word, isn't it? Every change has within it the possibility of good if you will embrace it. Every change and change will never carry you backward if you keep your spiritual vision clear. Those ifs, very important. That's where you have choice, in the if. The if is your place of choice. Remember that. Holmes in Science of Mind writes this: nature will not let us stay in one place too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and advancement of the soul. This is a wise provision, for should we stay here too long, we would become too set, too rigid, too inflexible. Nature demands the change in order that we may advance. When the change comes, we should welcome it with a smile on the lips and a song in the heart. And let us remember, in any change, whatever the magnitude of it, when one door shuts, another door opens. We say limitless possibilities. Are we really embracing that truth? Limitless possibilities. There's more than one door. There could be many doors. To find an open door, and there always is one. When we have patience, that's a big one with those doors, I found. Patience. One of my greatest virtues. Patience. No, we can't do it right now, said God to me. In the perfect time, when you really are ready, it will unfold. Anyway, go back to the doors. When we have patience, faith, love to look for that open door, we will always find it. And that is where personal transformation takes place. This closes. Sometimes, you know, I've been known to say, actually put on Facebook once, that when one door closes, another opens. Yeah, but it's that hallway in between. That can be, you can fill in the blank. That hallway is a, that's where the patience part and the faith part come in that hallway. Sometimes there's no hallway. Sometimes one closes, another one just opens up. Just right, yeah, I mean, I haven't found that too often, but I usually have to hang out in the hallway. But that's where my growth takes place. That's where what I need to heal to go through that open door, that's where it takes place, in that hallway, before I step through that open door. Helen Keller once said, when one door of happiness closes, another opens. But so often, we look so long at that closed door that we do not see the one that is open before us. We don't even recognize it. We don't even know it's there. And I love, well, I just did that one, the add-on with the hallway, the whole thing. You get it. You know it. You've all lived this. It's not just me standing up here saying this is my life experience. I know that you've all had this experience. I know it. You wouldn't be living life as a human. So Ernest Holmes said this: when the change comes, we should welcome it with a smile on the lips and a song in the heart. We just said that. And he said that. Your growth comes when you do not allow change in your life to become a closed door that bars your path to progress, to your personal transformation. Don't let a closed door keep you stuck. Let that, or maybe you have to turn the knob a little. Turn the knob to the next part of your life. You don't just have one part of life. It just keeps going on, doesn't it? It's like amazing to me. One thing changes and then another thing changes, good, bad, and different. But we go with it. We welcome it because it's all good. It's all God, even if it doesn't feel right. That's where our transformation takes place. So here's an affirmation for you to use when you face change. I know that only good can come of this. Could you say that with me?
Yeah.
I know that only good can come from this. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So now that it just isn't an exercise of words. I want you to think for a moment of something occurring in your life right now a change that has occurred, a change that is on the horizon. Oh, those are great. One that are on the horizon, right? Mine runs with that one. A change that you fear might happen. Something real for you right now. So just think of a change. Everyone have something?
Yes.
Now say to the situation, I know that only good can come of this. Say it again. That's it. So you have that situation that I don't know what's bringing up for you, but knowing that only good can come of this. We know how the law of God works. The law will give us back what we put into it. So by saying that affirmation, we are stating that only good can come from this. That's how we are growing. That's how we are transforming the whole situation. Or we could go with good old Emma Curtis Hopkins. Her affirmation that I've used it many times before. This too is God. This too is good. This too is for me. And I demand to see a blessing in it.
Oh, say that again. Say that.
I'm going to say that again. I want to say that. Emma Curtis Hopkins was very powerful. Straight, that she's called the teacher of teachers, straight up mystic. Only saw the divine. She said, this too is God. This too is good. This too is for me. And I see the blessing in it. There's a blessing in everything, even when it doesn't look like it. Just stick with that. It will turn up. Trust me. Trust me on that. Before they call, I will answer, we are told in the Bible. Before they call, I will answer. We need simply to lift our awareness to the level of God's answer. Remember, there's no problems in divine mind. There aren't. There's only answers. In Victor Hugo's novel, Le Mizerock, the nuns of the convent of perpetual adoration were reminded of the holy life every half hour by the ringing of a bell. It didn't matter where they were or what they were doing at that moment. Each stopped and said a prayer. And I've seen people have timers on their phones, and when that goes off, it brings them back to center. God is the source of all my good, no matter what's going on. So as you can imagine, with these nuns, whatever frame of mind a sister happened to be in, she was turned by the sound of the bell to that quiet place within. And she immediately became poised and serene because she just breathed in the knowing that God was her solid foundation. What if we saw, there's no R in that. What if we saw, it's the New York, I can't help it. Accept me as I am. If we saw changes in our lives like the bells in that convent, remind us to pause, just to pause, and realize just where we are and who we are, and to reestablish our connection with this one, this infinite, one unchanging spiritual reality, and the infinite good that is ever available. Just taking that breath, taking that pause, and going within. That's the rock. That's the foundation. Remember, let us remember to take that sacred pause. So this morning I urge you not to resist change, because it's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen anyway. Don't resist it, in whatever form it might come, but instead to give thanks for a chance to grow and progress. I urge you not to be afraid of change, but rather be ready to make each change a step forward to a new understanding of success, of fulfillment, of happiness, of joy. Each is a step into more happiness, more fulfillment. That's all we want, any of us. We want to be happy. That's what this teaching is all about. Stepping forward, attracting more and more happiness into our lives. And as you move through any change in your life, get real by remembering these words by Dr. Holmes. And I'm going to read this as the closing part. There are going to be changes in your life from hour to hour and day to day, and we cannot escape them. It is the nature of the universe. Let us accept change, make the most of it, and capitalize on it. The action of the law never changes, but the direction of the action is always up to us. Life can become a glorious adventure, increasingly filled with more of every good thing as we gradually or suddenly come to change our pattern of thinking so that it embraces more of those good things. So I am inviting all of us to embrace the change, no matter what the situation. We might not like it. Not all change is fun, but in all change is the power of the changeless self, the divinity of God, this infinite life, this divine energy which is changeless, is always present in every single change that occurs in our lives. Let us remember that. Okay, that's it.